And joining me to discuss the aftermath of the Capitol violence and the build-up to the inauguration of the 46th President of the U.S. is a global affairs analyst, Adewale Dream. Good to have you join us, Adewale Dream. Now, let's start with the latest. We are now getting reports that at least 3 GOP lawmakers allegedly helped plan this rally. And we're also getting report that an unnamed GOP lawmakers gave some rioters a tour of the Capitol building a day earlier before the insurrection. Are you surprised by this?
I think anybody who is surprised about the event on January 6th definitely has not been following up the news in the last 4 years. So one thing we have to understand is what happened on January 6th didn't just happen overnight. It was a build-up. From the time President Donald Trump ran for office, his campaign was built on divisiveness. And eventually when he got into office, anybody who doesn't bow down to his throne or anybody who asks questions against what he personally believes in, or you don't believe, or you're not part of the Donald Trump caucus, unfortunately for such person, regardless of your status or your position in the country, you are not safe. We witnessed the same thing in Michigan due to the situation between the governor of Michigan and President Donald Trump. There are people that literally went on the streets in Michigan with guns blazing just to protest wearing masks. So as far as like the lawmakers and all of that, we cannot separate them from the current situation because all of them enabled President Donald Trump up to this very particular point. So if people are complaining about the current situation in America that looks similar to the situation in third world countries, then the question we have to ask ourselves is, what are the lawmakers been doing in the last 4 years? Have they upheld the laws or they've decided to follow through with President Donald Trump regardless of whatever he does?
Right, let's stay on the Republican Party. The party is now in the eye of the storm because of the role some members allegedly played in this insurrection. But the party has long been divided. We've seen the Lincoln Project that do not support President Trump, and those who say they're the American conservatives who support President Trump. But we're also now seeing lawmakers of the Republican Party at each other's throat. How far do you think that this will go in dividing the Republican Party?
I think this is going to divide the Republican Party for a while. One of the things I'm really proud about, regardless of whatever has happened in the last couple of weeks, is that when it comes to impeaching President Donald Trump, 10 Republicans joined the movement. So that is to let you know that there is hope. Because if you look at the first impeachment, it was pretty much based on party lines. Republicans never really supported it. It was pretty much Democrats who went all ahead. Now, with this very particular one, there are 10 Republicans who came out and said the president had gone too far. So you can tell there's a level of divisiveness in between the House. And also the outgoing majority leader, Mitch McConnell, already made it known that he's not interested in prosecuting the president right now based on the limited amount the Senate has. So, however, his goal is that by January 19th, when the Democrats eventually take over the Senate, they can proceed with the entire impeachment process. So this is definitely going to divide the Republicans. And also some of the Republican senators have already made it known that one of the main reasons why they are afraid in order to speak up against President Donald Trump is nothing other than the fact that their life is not safe and they are afraid of President Donald Trump's supporters. So this is definitely, it's actually an interesting situation unfolding right now, as we've seen that within the Republican parties, people are beginning to go separate ways.
All right, so some people are now predicting, especially President Trump supporters, are now predicting that we might see a third party in the United States. Do you agree that at some point we will have maybe the Republican Party, the Democrats, and another party where President Trump is the leader of that party?
I'm not going to be surprised about that because historically, even here in America, even though we've always been aware of the Republicans and the Democrats, but we can't forget the fact that we also have independents. A couple of years ago, there are electors that decide to, there are politicians that decide to run as an independent. So I'm not going to be surprised about that. And also, I would say we shouldn't go too far ahead of ourselves because right now there's going to be an impeachment process coming up from January 19th, hopefully. And if President Donald Trump is found guilty of every article in the impeachment process, it's definitely not going to permit him to hold any kind of public office in the nearest future. So I would say let's follow the situation one step at a time. Let's see how this entire impeachment process plays out when the Democrats take over the House and the Senate, rather. And from there, we can start discussing as to see if President Donald Trump is going to have the capacity in whatsoever in order to have a ruling party or not. But definitely there are going to be people that's going to share his ideologies and buy into that, which some people that buy into his ideology. So will this be the end of President Donald Trump ideologies? The answer is no. We're going to see that in the nearest future because he has set a precedent.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the Senate impeachment hearings that we're going to see from Inauguration Day or after Inauguration Day. Mitch McConnell, who is currently the Senate leader, has said he really doesn't know how he's going to vote. He said he's really confused as to whether he should back impeachment or he should vote against impeachment. Let's bear in mind that President Trump would be out of office at that time. Do you think that we might see some Republican lawmakers back impeachment at the Senate like we saw in the House of Representatives?
Absolutely. And the interesting thing about that is with the first impeachment, Mitch McConnell made his position known that he wasn't supporting the impeachment process, regardless of whatever they thought that President Donald Trump might have done or he has done. But in this situation, if you compare his speech in the first impeachment process to his speech right now, you can see a distinctive difference. Right now, he's saying, I don't know. Him saying, I don't know is as good as saying, I know how I'm going to vote. So, and also we have to consider the fact that President Trump is no longer going to be in office. So some of these lawmakers who are currently afraid of him or who are currently concerned about backlash and how it's going to affect their constituency in terms of distribution of wealth from the White House, that is not something they have to worry about anymore. So I think it's going to give a wiggle room to some of these politicians, some of these senators, in order to be able to make a clarifying decision as to which direction they want to vote. But at the end of it, we have to remember that the Democrat needs 17 Republicans in order to fully convict President Donald Trump of these claims.
So the Attorney General of the District of Columbia just announced that he's considering bringing incitement charges against President Trump. What do you make of that?
I'm not surprised about that. Because if you follow the recent events, especially like on January 6th, it's baffling how because at the end of the day, one thing we have to understand is this. These people didn't just wake up overnight and say, you know what, we're going down to D.C. and we're going over to the Capitol and go take over. It was pretty much after the rally held by President Donald Trump stating that we're going to march down. And also we don't have to forget the speech of his lawyers, which is Rudy Giuliani, stating that we need to have a trial by combat. We can't forget about Donald Trump Jr. All of these incitements, all of these claims eventually led to where we are. So am I so surprised that they're bringing a claim over to him? No, I'm not.
All right,
One thing we have to understand is this. The moment President Trump leaves us, a lot of this is still going to happen.
All right. The inauguration is just barely a few days away. We'll continue to monitor how things progress in the United States. Global Affairs Analyst Adewale Ayantoye, thanks for talking to TVC News.
Thank you for having me.